A Crash of Fate, written by Zoraida Cordova, has been out for a little while, and I'm finally getting around to talk about it. This is Sides of Coins, and it starts right now. Yep, it's been a minute since this book came out. It's part of the Galaxy's Edge series, but we're getting around to chat about it. I was waiting for Michael to maybe read it, right? But I'm going to just talk about it, let you know at least what I think about it, and then we'll maybe if we want to have a discussion about it later, we can do that. But the book was overall not bad. It was part of the Galaxy's Edge series. This is the book here. It's one of the young adult books. It's released under that YA banner that so many other great Star Wars books have been released under, like Lost Stars or Lost Stars by Claudia Gray, Rebel Rising. A bunch of other different books have been under the YA banner, and they've been very nice books. This one takes place largely on BATUU, and it follows the story of Julian Rakab, who's a local to BATUU, and he's lived there his whole life. And his friend Isal Garcia is taken away from him very young and lives her life, grows up separately, but then ends up having to take a mission to end up going back to BATUU. And so they meet and they interact, and they go on this journey together. They think they're only there for a day or 2 days, and of course there's some romance. They're star-crossed lovers, and it's an interesting book. It's a touch predictable, but there's a lot of positives and there's one or two negatives. So I guess I'll start out with the things I enjoyed. First of all, the main one is just getting to spend time on BATUU. It's so cool to get to see these characters interact with each other and interact in this environment, knowing full well that you can go and visit that environment. It was so neat getting to read about all these places you could go visit, right? Like Jules and Izzy interact with Ogagara a lot throughout the book. And so, going to the cantina there at Galaxy's Edge, it's awesome because you read about all these shady deals that go on in the back room, and all these people are so tense. And then you walk out and you see, you hear about R3X doing the DJ and all this sort of stuff. And then when I was at Galaxy's Edge, I was there. I got to live it. That was awesome. Doc Ondar as well. That's where Jules works for Doc. And so it's neat. You get to see Doc do a lot in this book. Not a lot, but he's there. He's very present. And it just makes it a very lived-in world. It sometimes pushes toward, we got to walk through the whole park and see everything that's going on. But for the most part, the events happen pretty organically, and it makes sense as to why the characters are doing certain things, and you get to experience the park. When you're walking through the park, you get to sort of feel like you've already been there because you've read this book. So that part I loved. Like I said, it's a touch predictable. This is the first young adult book that I've read under the Star Wars banner that truly feels like it belongs in the traditional young adult category. All the other ones, you think of Lost Stars, it's just a transcendent book that I think anybody that's even if you're not a Star Wars fan, you should really read that book. It's one of my favorite books I've ever read in my life. Rebel Rising was equally intense. There was a lot that happened in there that were very adult, dark themes. It was a very gritty, real book. I enjoyed that one a lot. This one is a bit more, I don't want to say fluff because that sort of has a connotation to it, but there's not nearly as much going on. But for what it is, if you go into it with the proper expectation of a nice, lighthearted romance that'll give you some time in BATUU with some pretty decent character interactions, it's very enjoyable. I did like the way she writes the book. Is it goes back and forth between different characters' perspectives. So you get to spend a chapter as Izal, and then you spend a chapter as Jules. So that was really cool. And then, you get to see the same events through different perspectives. And as they go on, see how the other characters they interact with view them. Lots of thought processes. You read sort of their thoughts on events as they happen. So that was enjoyable. But overall, I was reading through the book and it didn't grip me near as much as I would have liked. And I get the strong suspicion that if Michael were to read this book, he would be a lot harder on it than I am. He wasn't a fan of Lost Stars, and Lost Stars was amazing. He might be a fan of it, but he holds it in less high esteem than I do, and I feel like he would have raked this one through the mud. But different strokes for different folks. I enjoyed it a lot, and if Michael ever gets around to reading it, we'll hear it from him instead of just me speaking for him. But it was enjoyable. I liked it. The Galaxy's Edge series of content has been pretty good so far, so I'd recommend if you're thinking about going to the park, or you don't think you'll be able to go for a while, but you want to kind of get the vibe and the atmosphere. Yeah, this one's pretty good. There's a lot of neat things that happen, so they're recommended. I enjoyed it. But until next time, this has been Sides of Coins, and we'll see you then for more videos and stuff in the future. Nailed it. Greatest outro ever. I'm good.